Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Thursday, January 25th, 2024. This is live stream number 1012. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me mention that it's pretty casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then I'll usually share some random musings about the hobby as well. Now, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com. for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you're not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Now, of course, because this is a live stream, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you are a subscriber to the channel and have been for at least 48 hours and you'd like to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is one of our chat moderators. Yes, the lovely and talented, the Madman. See, it's not only Sarah D who's lovely and talented, okay? Just making sure everyone knows that. Not being sexist here, okay? Jeez. The Madman is just as lovely, just as talented. Now, Flaming Hair, on the other hand, we're not going to talk about. Anyway, so the Madman is with us. Good to see you as always. Kevin King is in the house, as is Roger Perdome and Kevin R. Smith. And I would take a guess, maybe the aforementioned Sarah D., who is still lovely and talented, just not the only chat moderator who's lovely and talented, might be lurking around as well. W. Forge is popping on out to say hello, and Sarah D. is with us tonight and says that she thinks the Madman is probably lovelier. Of course, the Madman responds, "Lovely? You haven't seen my face." Hey, I'm sorry, we're far more mature than just to simply judge people on their looks. If that were the case, none of you would be tuning in. Anywho, welcome aboard, everybody. We might have a few new folks who are watching. Maybe they tuned in last night. Maybe they're tuning in again tonight. And they haven't joined us in chat yet because they have to be a subscriber for 48 hours or more. But yes, I was on Roll for Combat yesterday. Remember I mentioned it? I thought it was about 2 hours. It turned out that that show was 2 hours and 40-some minutes long. I was like, yikes. And I did kind of take a peek at a little bit of the stream. I'll talk about that after we tackle the news, because I've got some things to kick around tonight. So, is it Big Ig? I'm trying to see. Looks like BIG LG or I. It just goes to show you my chat window is not that large. Is saying hello from the UK, and I believe this is a first-time visit for B70. Bingo! Oh no, I think B only goes up to 15, isn't it? Only goes up to 15. It's been a long time since I went to bingo with my mom. She loves bingo. I find it mind-numbingly boring. Kabuki Kid is also joining us tonight. Good to see you. So Kevin R. Smith says, I think it's Big Jig, like the dance. Yeah, the J and the I is getting kind of, well, I think the J is getting lost in the G a little bit. So, and yes, it is. It is Big Jig 70. So there you go. Hello, Big Jig 70. See, I'm so friendly. Let's jump on into the news. And I should point out, no, I am not on any painkillers tonight. Now the shoulder pain it comes and goes. I'll talk about that a little bit as well, but at least it's not a constant thing. Knock on wood. On to the tabletop gaming news. Sancor, the pride of Mansa Musa, has arrived in stores for Osprey Games. Here's what I know. In Sancor, the pride of Mansa Musa, a dynamic, interactive, mid-weight Euro game. 1 to 4 players manage the prestigious University of Sancor in 14th century Timbuktu, tasked by the Emperor Mansa Musa with spreading knowledge throughout West Africa, even as a great university is raised around them. By enrolling and graduating your pupils, teaching classes, adding to your curriculum, and filling the great library with books, you will advance knowledge in 4 main disciplines: theology, law, mathematics, and astronomy. Once construction of the university is complete, the value that the empire places on each discipline will dramatically affect how you score the knowledge you have passed on. In a dedicated solo mode, you compete against the distinguished scholar, a passionate and ambitious academic controlled by an elegant automated system. They may not be as nimble as you, but they are focused and driven and will strive to produce the best possible students. Can you navigate the corridors of academic competition and bring renown to Mansa Musa's prized university? Sancor, the pride of Mansa Musa, is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 150 to 180 minutes. Yeah, I would say 15 to 180 minutes would be far too wide a swing. It is hitting stores as I speak, and it does carry an MSRP of $90. I have to say, this is a beautiful looking game. This looks very, very nice. A very unique topic as well. So I have to ask, because I'm sure there are far more intelligent people in chat than I myself. Didn't they find Timbuktu? Don't they know where Timbuktu was now? Because for a long time, were they not sure? Now, I'm not saying that they were as unsure as they were or still are about Troy. But I could have sworn at some point in the not too distant past, the actual location of Timbuktu was sort of unknown. Then again, I could be absolutely out of my mind and imagining all of this. Yes, I mean, that is possible. Flaming Huron, our third chat moderator, is with us tonight. Good to see you from over there in Australia. See, I didn't do that like Australian sort of accent, which is awful, which I usually do. Australia! Yes, Flaming Aaron from Australia! At least I don't mention anything about shrimp nor barbecues. Moving right along, let's talk about some role-playing game news because I've got a good chunk of role-playing game news tonight. Because Modiphius Entertainment has started to take pre-orders for the next Dune Adventures in the Imperium source book. Here's the skinny on Fall of the Imperium. The end of 10,000 years of empire. The time of the Imperium is ending. Emperor Shaddam IV is about to enact a plan to destroy the popular House Atreides using their old enemy, House Harkonnen. But this is merely the spark that sets the known universe on fire. Ancient plans are in motion, and one woman's betrayal of her sisterhood places the fate of the Imperium in the hands of her son, Paul Atreides. On the desert planet of Arrakis, the wheel of fate is poised to turn and sweep everything in its path away. A storm is coming, one that will tear across every planet in the galaxy. Your house will find themselves in the midst of that storm, but will you survive or be torn to shreds? Will you help the Atreides or watch Errakeen burn in silence? Can you secure new spice supplies while the Harkonnen regime falters and fails to provide? Will you align with the insurgent Fremen or seize the chance to bargain for more power from a desperate emperor on the brink of losing his dynasty? In this epic campaign, you can experience the events of Frank Herbert's groundbreaking Dune as part of the incredible story. While the main events may be set, the fate of your house is not. The fall of the Imperium and the rise of Muad'Dib will tear the known universe apart. Side with the Fremen against the Imperium and risk the Emperor destroying you too. But remain loyal for too long, and you will face the onslaught of the Fremen Jihad. Can your house navigate the webs of plot and treachery to determine its own fate in this time of prophecy and destiny? This 144-page full-color hardcover campaign book takes you from the Imperium era to the Ascension of Muad'Dib era. It also includes detail on continuing your campaign in the new regime, including the Quasarate? It's been so long since I read the Dune books, and I never read all of them. We'll talk about that a little bit in a moment. As a new faction and detail on the state of the known universe after Paul takes the throne. The campaign itself is broken into 4 acts, each with 3 full adventures, several more story seeds, and expansion advice. There's Act 1, The Gathering Storm. House Atreides takes control of Arrakis, but there is more to this appointment than meets the eye. At the same time, House Ikaz enlists the player character's aid to make a strike against House Harkonnen in revenge for their part in the Ikaz-Moritani War. Vendetta upon vendetta layers together, culminating in a brutal conflict on Arrakis. Act 2, Muad'Dib. Arrakis is under control of the Harkonnen once more, and it appears everything is as it should be. But there are whispers of a new Fremen leader uniting the tribes, and the Harkonnen cannot contain the problem. Choam asks the player characters to investigate, and the secrets they discover will shake the Imperium. Act 3, Fall of the Imperium. Spice production has stopped, and all eyes turn to Arrakis. The player characters must find their own supply of spice, or their house may never recover. In the chaos, old feuds reunite as each house tries to hide its weakness and take advantage of those of their enemies. However, the situation on Arrakis is dire, and the player characters join the houses of the Lanstrad for a decisive reckoning with the Fremen and Paul Muad'Dib. Act 4, War Across a Million Worlds. Paul Atreides is the new emperor of the Imperium. Spoilers! Jeez. And everything has changed. His Fremen legions bring their religion with fire and steel to anyone who resists. 100 plots and counter-revolutions swirl in the storm of the Jihad. Will the player characters and their house kneel before Muad'Dib, or side with their peers to stop the worst of the atrocities. The time of the Imperium is at an end. Will your house prosper or become just one more forgotten casualty in a war across a million worlds? Right now, you can pre-order the 144-page hardcover with PDF for an MSRP of $51.95. I do not know if that price will change, because a lot of times with the MSRP that we see from Modiphius Entertainment, if you're ordering from Modiphius, kind of changes a little bit. Although this is the price over at the US Modiphius website, not the UK website. So let's see, a little bit going on in chat here. Tessie Trekkie is with us. Good to see you. Says, oh, is this the new Modiphius book? It is. But I have to mention, there is no PDF information out there yet. So usually Modiphius Entertainment includes the PDF with your order. And a lot of times it's right after you order. It's usually indicated. I did not see any indication, nor is this available in PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG. When it is, I'm going to take a guess. It's probably going to come in at about $24.95. W4 says, isn't that the plot of Dune? Yes. Yes, it is. So the answer on Timbuktu, Kevin R. Smith says, I'm pretty sure they know where it is. It was the capital of a major empire in the Middle Ages, after all. I know they know where it's at now. When I say the recent past, I mean like late 19th, early 20th century. I don't mean like 2020. So I'm just saying, like in history. But I don't know. For some reason, I ran across something, and it was talking about Timbuktu and how people, archaeologists or whatever, we're not sure where it was at a specific time. So I'm just curious. I might be, like I said, I could be absolutely wrong. Flaming Heron says, never want a jihad called against you. No. Tesco Love is with us. Welcome. So is Wild Hunter. Has popped on in. So there is... Tessie Trekkie's talking about the best LARP they ever played in was Dune-based. It was set right before the first Dune book at the Imperial meeting where Arrakis was transferred from Harkonnen to Atreides. That's kind of interesting. All right, so what I was going to say is I wonder how far Modiphius Entertainment is going to go with the Dune line. I would think we might see it. Okay, I apologize if this is going to spoil anything for anybody. I would think maybe they've got it planned up to the point where Paul Atreides goes off into the desert and becomes a sandworm. He joins with the sandworm. I don't know if they're going to go much further than that. And the reason why I mention this is because things get really fucking weird in Dune. Really weird. And some of the sequels that Frank Herbert's son, and he teamed up with another author. I forget. I think it's Kevin J. Anderson. I don't know why that's popping in my head. It kind of nutty. I mean, it was pretty nutty already. So don't get me wrong. The whole, I'm blind. I'm going to go off into the desert. No, okay. Then suddenly becomes, yeah. Anyway. But yeah, I only read as far as the third book, but I do know the overall gist of what goes on. So, and the whole clones of clones and all this other stuff, and Duncan Idaho's clone plays a huge role in everything. Lord Cost 2000 is with us. Wild Hunter says, I played in a short Dune campaign years ago, but done with Traveler rules. It worked really well. Jeff is right. That world and characters can get weird. Kevin Smith says, hopefully they don't do the Brian Herbert. Yeah, it is Kevin J. Anderson. Thank you, Kevin. Like I said, for some reason that popped in my head. I have never read any of those books. So Kevin R. Smith is saying, hopefully they don't do those books. They are not well liked by much of the fan base, and the canon is debated. Tesco Love says, I am Duncan, Idaho, number 2343. Yeah, it's sort of like that. And then I didn't even get into it. But at least they do finally wrap it up. Wild Hunter asks, is this a new system or an existing Modiphius one adapted for Dune? It is their 2D20 system. I gotta say, Dune is pretty nicely done. They have pulled out all the stops with this series. Really, really cool. Now, there is a box set, and it's almost like a starter set, but it's really not the starter set. It is a campaign in which your house replaces House Atreides, and things are different. So, as Tesco points out, it is very streamlined as opposed to other of the 2D20 releases that have been out there, and highly narrative. Yes, this is all pretty much scene-based. It is a scene-based role-playing game, but I have been impressed. And I do believe Modiphius Entertainment has a package on its way to me. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any Dune stuff. I still have a couple of Dune books that I have not shared any coverage of. I gotta be honest, I keep forgetting. I know that's bad to say that, but I just keep forgetting. But I am definitely going to get that out there. Anyway, so the box set, and then there's a follow-up, which I don't believe I have, continues that campaign where it's your house. Very, very cool. So now what I'm kind of curious about is, now this fall of the Imperium, it's the storyline of Dune. Could you still use that house and replace House Atreides? Because it sounds to me as if you have another house, you're not replacing House Atreides. You gotta pick a side. Stephen from Roll for Combat is with us, saying that they are back. They had to rest after spending the day with me. I don't know. You guys had another video out there today, I do believe, although pretty short. I think it was only like 15 minutes long. Good to see you, Stephen. All right, let's keep moving along. But if you are a fan of Dune, before we keep moving along, check out Modiphius Entertainment's Dune. I'm not aware of a bundle that they've ever shared of it yet, but it is really, really well done. Kevin R. Smith says, Dune would probably have been wrapped in the 1980s if Frank Herbert had lived. Yes. Kevin says they had heard his last book, Chapter House Dune, ended with big questions that were supposed to be answered in the next book. I thought, now once again, I could be absolutely wrong. I could be Timbuktuing this. I thought that he had some pretty extensive notes, maybe not to the extent that Robert Jordan did with The Wheel of Time and Brandon Sanderson stepped in to wrap that series up. But I thought that Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson were working from notes. Could be wrong, but I thought I remembered that. 245 Trioxin is with us. Good to see you once again. Bloat Games has a new superhero role-playing game, which is actually built upon the Dungeon Crawl Classics framework. It is up for crowdfunding. I've got the latest on Evolved Super Heroic Time Travel Role-Playing Game. Say that 5 times fast. Time travel. It changed everything. The world as we knew it was forever altered, and the future, so full of hopes and dreams for so many, for so long, became a dark, bleak place full of terror and death. Sounds like 2016 to 2020 here in the United States. The unknown became knowable, and with that knowledge came pain and suffering for so many of us, those affected most by the advent of time travel, the Evolved. The chronal energies given off by portal time travel caused a random advance in evolution for many of those exposed, sometimes resulting in abnormal physical deformities and death, while other times strange, powerful abilities were gained. The era of the super being had arrived. If you throw out that time travel and you use alien poison, it kind of sounds like the Wild Card series, eh? Great series if you've never checked it out. Those passing through time portals found that they were transported into the future of the year 2051, and the future depicted was frightening. The world had changed so much as to begin to become unrecognizable, with war and strife rampant, and the Evolved finding themselves hunted and destroyed or captured by robots and cyborgs created by humans who feared them. Oh, the Sentinels, eh? Used and controlled by their governments as leverage against other factions and leading rebellions against the humans to demonstrate their perceived superiority in a bid for power. Nuclear war, biological and gene warfare, cloning vats, and other things out of science fiction, including aliens bent on domination and their own internal conflicts, had come to the world in force, creating chaos and bedlam. Welcome to the 2051 world of the Dark Fracture. Its secrets are there for the taking. Will you use this knowledge to prevent this future from happening, or hasten its eventual arrival and ensure your place in its ruling elite? Knowing this awaits you. What will you do now in 2026 to prevent? It's 2026. Wait a sec, what happened? Where have I been? To prevent this blasted future from coming to fruition, you are one of the few left who has the one thing so many have lost going for you: hope. Gotta point out, this is a self-contained game, and it is powered by, once again, the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game. So it is powered by those mechanics. Now, this project is past the 200% funding mark, so it has funded. You can reserve a copy of the core book with PDF. I believe it's a hardcover for a $60 pledge, or you can score just the PDF alone for a $39 pledge through January 30th. Expected delivery is this October for both digital and physical. Should also mention that it's not a quick start, it's not a preview, it's, I believe, a majority of the game book, but it's pretty art-free, I believe, which is available for $1. There is a link to it over on Kickstarter, and I think it's at Drive-Thru RPG as well. So you can actually take a peek at this, get a deeper dive into it before you make any sort of pledge. Now, there are only a few days left. This I believe runs till Tuesday, right? That's the 30th. So you might want to check it out. If you're not overly familiar with Bloat Games, I do believe they are the folks behind Darkness and Demigorgons. Is that it? It's the Survive This system. Although they are using Dungeon Crawl Classics a lot more as of late for their systems. In fact, Dark Places and Demigorgons. That's what it's called. In fact, they actually have an edition of that built on top of Dungeon Crawl Classics. Keep in mind, for Evolved, you do not need the Dungeon Crawl Classics rulebook. All the rules are included in this. So keep that in mind. Kevin King says, I'm sorry, Gene, you failed that luck check. Roll on the mutations table and let's see what happens. Yeah, maybe they become a joker. Kabuki Kid says, I like the wild cards. I introduced my nephew to the wild cards. It's pretty funny because way back in the day, you know, Elliot Miller, my best friend, gets mentioned on nearly every show because we have gamed together for 43 years. So really isn't anything about him I don't know, and there's nothing about me he doesn't know. But it was kind of funny because we would pick up books and be like, oh, dude, you got to get this book. I'm about, 3 chapters in. It's really cool. And it was sort of like that with wild cards. Because I would go to the bookstore quite a lot. Back in the day, for about, 10 years, give or take, I always had Mondays off. And I would go to used bookstores, and there's one particular area of Chicago that had a good number of used bookstores and a couple of new bookstores as well. And I would just go book buying. And it'd be funny. I'd call them up. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I just got home because we didn't have cell phones. I'd call and be like, oh, yeah, I just got home. The new wild card book is out. Okay, I'm going to run over to the store and get it. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Edited by George R.R. Martin. I think that guy's known for some other stuff, too. I forget. I don't know what it is. Our friend Chen from Taiwan is with us. Good to see you. Thanks for popping on in tonight. Let's keep rocking and rolling with the news because Losing Games and Exalted Funeral have teamed up for Malsita. I'm just going to keep saying it crazier and crazier. The Estate Adventure Collection. Here's the deets on the box set. Malsita! The Estate Adventure Collection. Huge and ancient, a mountain of stone. It stood even when the most wizened of mouse elders were young. The estate dominates the landscape for miles around. Nestled under the floorboards, the mouse settlement of Brickport is beset by trouble on every side. Yeah, it's trouble with a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. Above huge creatures pace. The vicious cat witch Sabrina jealously guards her domain. Outside in the fields and pond and orchard. Instead of a pond, maybe it's a pool. Even stranger events are afoot. Can you help save the settlement before it's too late? Or will it be swallowed by the chaos that surrounds it? There's more to explore than ever before. Escape indoctrination. Use English, Jeff. In the capital of eternal peace. Don't get burned by the ember tree. Cure the queen's handmaiden and fruits of the orchard. Try not to get eaten by the giant snake is in the sewer. Find the sludge-coated crown in Mush Rush. Battle mutant rats in Science and Sorrow. Race to win the prize of the Song of the Frogicle. Bend time within the ticking tower. Rescue the captive from the Tower of Soot. Master the magic of the Wizard of Arms and Armor. Unlock the curse of Workers Work, Rulers Rule. Each presented in beautifully full illustrated postcard formats with included item and condition cards. The Malsreiter, the Estate Adventure Collection box set carries an MSRP of $55, or you can score just the PDF alone over at Drive-Thru RPG for $20. Tessie Trekkie says they absolutely recommend this box set 100%. Should mention, and Tessie Trekkie can confirm or deny this, I do believe that the adventures are almost like a greeting card. I think they're like the size of a postcard, and they open up. So you've got the front cover, inside 2 pages, and then the back. And I think there's a dozen of those. And there's other stuff in this box too. It's not just that. But it's not like little zines or anything. At least it doesn't look to me like that. But as I've said before, I'm really curious about Malsreiter. Jawohlmann here. Because what I'm curious about, and Tessie Trekkie knows about Malsreiter, as does, I'm sure, a few of you out there in chat. I'm curious how it would translate to just a fantasy role-playing game. Because it seems to have some very interesting mechanics that I think would translate very well to an old school sort of game. Kind of curious. Tessie Trekkie says each adventure is essentially a site and a small adventure. Yeah, it looks like there's a keyed map. And then you probably have some stat blocks for the various different creatures, like that giant snake and that bitch cat witch Sabrina. Very nice. Very nice. As I said last night, I wish I had something cooking with Exalted Funeral. I don't. I think they're another company that just, they kind of like Goodman Games, where they're like, we don't really need reviews. It's not that big a deal. Tesco Love says it's a lot like Knave, right? Basically OSR, where your class is defined by your equipment. Tessie Trekkie says it's extremely deadly. Well, I would think so. You're a mouse. Final news piece. Let's talk about some more pre-orders, because Cubicle 7 Entertainment is now taking pre-orders for a new Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay supplement. And I'm about to share what I know about trials and tribulations. A guide to brutal warlords, warbands, and monsters in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Orcs and goblins infest the wild corners of the old world and beyond. They are creatures bound by a common ancestry, a love of bloodshed and violence, and the unifying spirit of the wild orcs and goblins are the perfect antagonists for any game of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Tribes and Tribulations provides details on a number of these belligerent and spiteful creatures. Goblins, orcs, black orcs, racist, hobgoblins, and snotlings, as well as sections on ogres and trolls. Each specific tribe receives its own chapter, demonstrating the variety of orc and goblin warbands that plague the old world and beyond. There's the Cluster Eye tribe, the terrors of the Drakewald, a band of forest goblins hungry for captives. The Broken Nose tribe, notorious breakers of several dwarf holds and incorrigible looters of artillery. The Black Mountain Boys, a vicious band of orcs accomplished in the arts of banditry and extortion. The Stone Snakes, savage orcs engaged in an ongoing campaign against the depredations of chaos dwarves. The Wolf Boys of Oglacan, a band of hobgoblin scouts for hire with a pronounced reputation for treachery. Mythogs Payswords, A brutal group of mercenary ogres currently located in the wilds of Ostermark. Trolls in various forms. Well, the various forms taken by these ferocious monsters and insights into their behavior. And then there's also magic. The shamanic practices of orc and goblin magic users and the spells they employ. Orc and Goblin Nemesis, a guide to mighty orc and goblin foes, notorious warlords, and monsters. Orcs and Goblins provide a game master with classic antagonists for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and Tribes and Tribulations offers all the tools needed to provide such creatures with the strategies and personalities required to make them memorable and challenging enemies. The 112-page hardcover with PDF can be pre-ordered right now for an MSRP of $34.99, or you can go snag the PDF alone right now at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. I do believe that the physical book is slated for a Q3 release. So a little bit out. But I got to be honest, I like how Cubicle 7 Entertainment will do that. And I know some people out there that get kind of ticked off because Cubicle 7 releases the PDFs and there's usually some errors in them and they have to be fixed. Yeah. And they release them early so those errors can get fixed so they don't end up in the printed books. I mean, that's how it works. Nice. I gotta be honest, I'm surprised it's taken this long to get a Goblin and Orc book for Wifrip. But we will look forward to possibly seeing this. Alrighty, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, what have you, by all means, stop by thegaminggang.com. First, click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Yes, if you were watching last night, I actually revealed what I made last year by way of the Gaming Gang. And yes, some of you out there thought I'm insane. Yeah. But the One Bookshelf sites are one of the ways that the Gaming Gang survives, especially the website. Because I've said this time and time again, what comes in from Drive-Thru RPG normally on a monthly basis, I mean, it's been probably more than 2 years since a monthly output from Drive-Thru RPG commissions did not pay for the gaminggang.com hosting. And I'll be very honest, the hosting is $85 a month because I pull in over 1 million unique visitors to the website every year. In fact, right now, this month, we're up about 30% in visitors as opposed to last year at the same time. I'm kind of surprised. Pretty interesting. Don't know. Anyway, if you like this video, by all means, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, then you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Yummy. And thankfully, there are many of you out there who do utilize those banner ads and or visit paypal.me/thegaminggang. the gaming gang, including Kevin King and the Madman, as well as Agile Monk, very recently stopped by, and all three of them made not small donations. So, tip of the hat to them as well. Speaking of Kevin King, says Goodman Games just opened pre-orders for another Harley Stroh scenario, Return to the Starless Sea. Think I'll have to get that. I'll have to get a news piece out about that. Because Sailors on the Starless Sea is a fun funnel. That is for sure. All right, so we will continue the Gaming Gang Dispatch in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Time now for your barbecue break. Treat yourself right now to that good old Southern-style Just Right barbecue. Steeped in taste-tingling barbecue sauce, made just right from fresh, firm, choice ingredients. The recipe handed down for generations and cooked Southern-style to tender perfection. Slowly, hour after hour, capturing the taste-tempting barbecue flavor. It's just right tender goodness, generously spooned on a fresh, soft bun for you. It's hard to wait. It smells so good. And oh boy, it is, lip-smacking good. Here it comes, your Southern-style Just Right barbecue on a bun with all the delicious trimmings. A snack to remember. Enjoy it now along with your choice of hot or cold drinks. It's a favorite of all the family, prepared and served just right. Only thing better than this barbecue sandwich is the next one. Just try the best barbecue in the land that made barbecue famous. It's Southern style, Just Right barbecue.
This is Tiger Joe. Gigantic. With walkie-talkie operator, machine gunner. Tiger Joe. Rugged. Powerful. Ready for battle. You command Tiger Joe with remote control. Stop. Back. You breech load Tiger Joe and fire. Battery powered, the biggest tank of all. Tiger Joe, sold at food markets only.
Any last requests, like for a cup of Wilkins coffee?
No.
You don't drink Wilkins?
No.
How shocking.
Can't get enough Soup Sugar Crisp, 'cause it tastes so good to me. Got a good breakfast here, gang, featuring Super Sugar Crisp.
You didn't have a good breakfast, Blob.
Don't need it. Gonna scare Sugar Bear.
Everybody needs a good breakfast, Blob.
Not me. I'm a superhero.
Superhero my foot, Blob. It's good to have a good breakfast featuring vitamin fortified post Super Sugar Crisp. The taste to put a smile on your face.
What in the world was going on with those kids in that barbecue ad? Were those Ron DeSantis' kids? Too soon? Too soon for that joke? W4 says, I don't know why they call it Hamburger Helper. It's pretty good all by itself. What movie is that from? It's from a movie or TV show. I remember that because I remember thinking, oh, that's pretty funny. Dan Kellogg, as well as Game Master's Hobby, are with us in chat tonight. Welcome. Welcome aboard. And yes, that big tank. It's like, all right, so we got this big American tank named after a Nazi tank. Yeah, all right. It's like, what? Oh, there you go. Thank you, Kabuki Kid. It is National Lampoon's Vacation. I don't know why they call it Hamburger Helper. I will say, it's been a long time since I had Hamburger Helper, but they used to have one. It was beef. It was not beef stroganoff. It was like beef medley or something like that. I remember that wasn't so bad. It was all right. It was okay. Kabuki Kid says, I was going to comment that it was named a Tiger Tank. Yeah, it's like, the hell? Why don't you just call it a Panzer, right? Pretty weird. All right. So, tonight there were a few things that I did want to mention. Of course, once again, let me remind you that I am in the midst of the Chaos Inc. week. Today I was taking a first look at RuneQuest, the Red Book of Magic. So if you have not checked that video out, by all means, please give it a watch. I have 4 books remaining. So I'll be doubling up. But I will say that tomorrow's video, because I've been rolling them out at like 5 a.m. if it was a non-show day, and then 7 a.m. if it was after a show, because I always post the news from the previous night starting at 5 a.m. Chicago time. I will not have it up first thing in the morning. It will be later on tomorrow, probably early afternoon, just so you know. So if you get up in the morning and you're like, hey, where's the latest video from Chaosium Inc. that Jeff's doing? Don't worry. It's coming. Also, wanted to point out, Roll for Combat is with us in chat. And I was on Roll for Combat yesterday, if you missed it. And I mentioned early in the show, I had said, oh, yeah, it was like 4 hours, or not 4 hours. It was like 2 hours long yesterday. It was actually 2 hours and 40-some minutes long. And I actually took a peek. I didn't watch the entire replay of it, but I did take a peek, and Kevin R. Smith was hanging out in chat. In fact, there were a few people I saw who had popped into chat, and they seemed like they were familiar with the Gaming Gang, and they were familiar with me. So I was like, oh, cool. Nice. Someone had commented about I never got an opportunity to speak. And I'd never felt like that. In fact, I commented back on the video that I didn't feel like I was being talked over or anything like that. But one thing I would mention, and I mean, absolutely no offense to Steven on this, is that both Steven and Mark do have a tendency to kind of go off on tangents. So there were a couple of times I was sort of just kind of sitting there like, okay. But no, it was fun. I had a good time. It was interesting. I stayed entertained. That was the important thing. I didn't sit there and start like zoning out, staring off into space. Huh, what? As Steven says, that's not an accident. Chris Lundgren's with us. Good to see you, Chris. Another thing I want to mention is that Cubicle 7 Entertainment now has a new marketing person. I guess she's been there for a bit, and she thought she'd reached out to me, but she had not. Because I sent my friend T.S. Lukehart an email just the other day saying, Yeah, it seems like everything's the same as it's been for the last year, when they had the marketing person that really wasn't doing anything. So I said, you guys aren't getting much coverage from me right now. And you figure I've covered Cubicle 7 Entertainment for at least 11 years. And I consider Dominic McDowell and T.S. Lucart to be friends of mine. And I always look to try to help my friends out, getting the word out about their releases, like Cobalt Press. I consider Wolfgang Bauer a friend in the industry. So when I run across something from Cobalt Press, which gets sent to me because they do press releases, I tend to always share it with you. Unless it's like a virtual tabletop thing, then I don't usually share that news. So anyway, I got an email, and we're going to try to get things back on track again. And I understand this is somebody who's now coming in, having to clean up after someone else just completely screwed the pooch. So I don't expect things to get right back on track like they were, say, 2 years ago, when you were always seeing first look videos, review videos, news pieces, anything that was cooking with Cubicle 7 Entertainment, you knew right away. And one of the reasons why was because the person that they had doing that, and they weren't really a marketing person, what she would do is she would actually just, as soon as something would hit Drive-Thru RPG, she would add it to my account. And then, of course, I would get an email saying, oh, this has been, you have a new release, whatever. And for some reason, I don't think the email actually tells you who it's from or what it is. Maybe it tells you who it's from. But then I could go get all the sell sheet information right there off of Drive-Thru RPG, get the PDF, take images from the PDF for the news piece for both the live show and for the article on the website. Perfect. I didn't need press releases. I knew right away. And then, of course, when they were, planning something, or they were going to start taking pre-orders or what have you, yes, I would usually get some sort of a press release. Now it's nothing. To be very honest with you, I shared a news piece from Cubicle 7 yesterday, and I've let the new marketing person know this. And I only stumbled across that because I was on Drive-Thru RPG. I was on Drive-Thru RPG getting the cover for one of the bundle of holding entries for that Relic role-playing game that's currently on offer over at Bundle of Holding. Bundle of Holding, that's usually where I go and pull the images that I use for news, both on the show and on the website, because they tend to be a good-sized image that I utilize. So anyway, I saw, oh, hey, there's a new Warhammer Wrath and Glory book. So I dug around and went and got, was it tangents? Go off on a tangent, Jeff, not saying anything? Yeah, but you got to realize, I don't have a co-host here. So I'm not talking over anybody. If you'd like, I can wrap the show up right now. You guys got scared, didn't you? Yeah, that Flaming Heron character, boy, I tell you. Anyway, so I had let her know. I said, and then today's news piece for the Trials and Tribulations for WIFRIP, and I know the Gaming Gang is a go-to destination for a lot of people for their Cubicle 7 Entertainment news and reviews, especially for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition. I only knew about that because I got an email from Drive-Thru RPG telling me, hey, this is a new release. Kabuki Kid says, I'll turn this show around. I almost said that. So anyway, so I had mentioned to her that, you know, to be honest, I would think that a company that I have covered for over a decade, I wouldn't have to go discover their new releases by accident by way of Drive-Thru RPG. So I said, you guys are missing out on just all this coverage. And I mentioned once again, I said, the easiest thing to do, just throw the PDF into my account. I'll be notified. I know. Boom. So Roll for Combat says, is this a tangent I hear? No, this is a random musing. That's what I call these, random musings. Once again, I will point out, I don't have a guest on this show. I don't have a co-host on this show. I have to talk about something. I mean, if you want, I could sit here for 10 minutes, let the show run out and not say a word. A tangent usually is not what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's see. Has anyone actually played any of their Doctor Who stuff? I've been curious about it for a while. It's pretty solid. I got to be honest, I don't really know much about Doctors and Daleks, which is essentially the Doctor Who role-playing game converted over to 5e. That I haven't had an opportunity to take a peek at. But the second edition of Doctor Who, is it everybody's cup of tea? No. I mean, because it is really focused on non-combat, which is in the vein of Doctor Who. So, W. Forge says, Cubicle 7 has a 5e book coming out called A Life Well Lived. I'd like to see you get a chance to review. It might be similar to Unexpected Journeys, which was all just like a bunch of tables. I mean, they were cool, but they were random. And I kind of have a feeling from what I had seen that is going to be like a character generation book for 5e of a bunch of random tables so that you kind of build a backstory. So, yeah, I mean, if they send it, I'm more than happy to share it. As I pointed out to the new marketing person at Cubicle 7 Entertainment, I always welcome anything that they send my way. Wild Hunter asks, is YouTube going buggy anywhere? Let's see. Well, looks like we've got some dropped frames. Yeah, looks like might be on my end. Well, actually, to be honest, sometimes it's not on my end. Sometimes it is an issue with YouTube kind of bottlenecking. So yeah, everybody's getting freezing. Yeah, it's looking like something's going on. So hold on. See if I can shake this up a little bit. Every once in a while, if I change the output, it kind of kicks it in gear, but it looks like it's the same exact thing going on. That we're getting little burst off, burst off, burst off. All right, well, then I will wrap up. Seeing that it appears that we've got... Yeah, I think it's, to be honest, I think it's a YouTube thing because YouTube's been having issues with this. And it stops the transfer itself. Anyway, so long story short, hopefully things are going to get back on track with Cubicle 7 in the near future. Fingers crossed. All right, so that is it for this time out. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also inform you when I upload other videos, such as my entries in Cubicle Ink Week, all week long, all the way through Saturday. Very nice. Very nice. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you, because you're not only keeping me company, you're keeping each other company. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly for watching any of the videos here on the YouTube channel. All righty, everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, here's hoping all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.